Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do begin, let's give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of things have happened. We had Deku, and we also had Renegade. We also had Ochako. Deku called Ochako and made her listen to him torturing her boyfriend. Now, Ochako, she was caught off guard by a lot. Renegade flat out told her everything. He has an entire game set out and laid out. And she is the only one left. Because the world right now they think Izuku Midoriya is Renegade. They know for a fact Ibarra is Thorn Princess, and as for Songbird, people theorize her to be Jiro. But Jiro's at the police station, right? No, they learned that lesson with Izuku. She's somewhere secure. And Ochako was left alone in the UA dorms. Everybody who is still from the former Class 1B class, they're over at their house. And she's here. And she's scared. She's all alone with the knowledge Renegade has rules, and that her body can be controlled at any moment. That is the scariest thing she can imagine. Because what if she wakes up tomorrow and all of a sudden she's in the middle of nowhere and, well, for lack of a better word, she was underprepared for it. Renegade can make her do whatever he wants. I mean, walk off of a bridge, walk out into traffic, make her death look like an accident. I mean, she's now fully aware that all of this is a possibility. But it doesn't happen because it would just be boring. That knowledge scares her to death. Almost. Not yet, though, not in the plan. Now, Deku, he has the one remaining person to complete a set. Everybody else, they are where they need to be, except for one person. And that does annoy Deku. However, we're not talking about that person. We're currently going to go to Deku. Now, right now, Deku, he currently does sit at the edge of a bed. And he does have a lot go through his mind. Things have definitely been getting a lot more interesting. A lot better? He'll use that word. Interesting is definitely a good term. He's getting what he wants. People are bending to his whim. His life is good. He doesn't have to hold back these desires anymore. These things he wants to do. Izuku Midoriya is legally going to be proclaimed dead. But that is another thing. He also does want Izuku Midoriya to have his own little journey. He wants Izuku Midoriya to be there whenever she fails. Now, right now, two people to go to sit up. And they're actually Ibarra. Ibarra is still lying down. Her a bit surprised about what's going on. It's definitely weird. I mean, her life at one point, she never thought it would come to this. But her purpose, what she's doing, in the greater scheme of things, all of this will mean something. It's a necessary evil. And Deku, he can already hear it in Ibarra's mind. She's already going to go about the way to punish herself. She wants to repent through her own pain. Well, she'll do that. As for Jiro, though, Jiro definitely is a lot more intrigued. She's definitely lost her mind, given into the chaos. She is just like him. And Deku, he does like that. Him gonna want turn and express. They have a lot of plans to go through, and he is going to be leaving soon. Jiro, he wants her to come with him. He'll take the Nomu, and he wants Ibarra to go talk to their followers. Now, Ibarra, she's confused. Her actually trying to ask Deku exactly if she's not going to go with him. And Deku's going to turn. Him stern looking at her, as she does go somewhat look down. And Deku's going to tell her. She's going her own path because he wants her to. She needs to go on it right now. this will help her. He wants her to deal with them alone, encourage them, make them understand, make them know. Talk to them and give them their orders. And just do be aware. Deku bring up his hand. And Ibara, she does get to see it. Her going to climb out of bed and stand up. Her going to bring her hand out. As the moment she is going to grab onto Deku's, he is going to pull her in. And Ibara, she actually goes stumbling forwards. And Deku, he does actually spin her around. Her going to land on Deku's lap. As Deku, he is going to bring his hand up around her. And he does start to whisper a few things to her. And Jiro just stand there, watching as she's kind of worried. And Deku, he currently does go to leave. He needs to go somewhere. And he's quite sure he knows where. As we do actually cut over to the Chiha Saikai. Deku, he begins to inform Chizuki about a few of the plans. However, we do currently cut to someone's point of view, where things are a bit odd. Different? It's certainly that. However, they are none the wiser. Eri is still sitting in the chair, and the IV is pulling blood from her arm. As Deku, he does stand there and go to bring his hands up. Him going to somewhat bend down and look in front of her face. Him going to make sure that the illusion, it's stable, and that she is still out of it. No perception on her own body. Just Wonderland. That's what he'll give her. Eri is already well on the way to becoming just like him. And, well, he'll allow her to have her little fun for right now. Training will definitely be getting more and more serious soon. So, whenever he does deem it to be so, she can become another one of his weapons. Another extension of Renegade. I mean, her blood already does the work for them. Speaking of that, he does have a few things go on. As currently, we do have him in multiple places. Renegade's voice, it suddenly is being heard. And all over Japan, tons of people, they have their screens go blank. However, we do actually have 3 of the largest cities, where, right now, Deku, he does go to announce his presence. He announces his presence in one, expressing about how Renegade is at Japan's Tokyo Tower. And he wants them all to know his greatest plan yet is about to come to fruition. And everybody, they are kind of scared. Heroes want to jump in. And the moment Deku does start talking, and he does get to see some flying his way, Deku is going to turn, expressing, pointing at the sky and yelling, he wants him to show him an entire group of fucking villains! And then the sky does going to rip open, as if on cue. And villains, they start to fall. And people, they are immediately alarmed. An entire tidal wave of villains comes pouring out. And then the city, it is immediately put into chaos. Deku, he makes sure he does get to fly around. Him on a, well, let's just call it a bed or a area covered in bugs that he stands on. Now, Deku, he's currently flying that way. And he is looking down at the city. Him at least going to throw his hand out and try to change away a few people's minds. He wants them all to be violent. He wants them all to be sociopathic. He wants them all to be insane. When as Deku is going to fly overhead, he turns certain heroes. Ones that he thinks would be very funny to turn. Now, the heroes all of a sudden, they don't feel like themselves. And they do go to look around before they start blasting away at civilians. And the city, it quickly starts to fall into ruin. However, there currently is another city, where that city is also being put into chaos. And then another city as well. And that is where the heroes, they're getting multiple reports from 3 different cities. They're all following. And that's not good. These places are homes to thousands of people. And looting, rioting, stealing, and the villains attacking, along with the crazy people finally losing their fucking marbles. Yeah, you know what? Today was not a really good day to visit this place. That being the thought on random bystander number 42, before someone is going to run up behind him and stab him. That being the last thing he does really think. As right now, we do cut over to somebody else. They're currently sitting in a hospital bed, and the world, they're not too sure what to do. They found him last night. At least, that's what they said. They're not too sure when they found him. Early in the morning? I mean, it was just so random. And Deku, he does sit in his hospital bed. Him sitting there with an expressionless look in his eyes. And he's covered and wrapped in bandages. He doesn't say a word. He just sits there. And he's unresponsive. As currently somebody does come walking into the room and going to sit down. As Sir Night-Eye, he does sit there, with a few heroes behind him. The man going to bring out his hand and introduce himself, expressing about why exactly he's here. And Deku, he was going to somewhat turn his head slowly to see Night-Eye. And Night-Eye does see the expression on Deku's face. He can see it through the bandages. He can see it through, well, everything else. Deku has burns on his arms. He has a lot of things happening to him. He had a message carved into his back, quite literally. The penmanship is sloppy, you can tell, but it's legible. Renegade sent him back, alive, not dead, but alive. Also, he allowed him to keep his hands, whatever that does mean. And Night-Eye, he was going to reach his hand out. Him actually grabbing onto Deku's shoulder, as the moment he does, Deku, he does a turn to look at Night-Eye. Him immediately going to scream in pain as he was jumping out of bed. Him trying to at least fall onto the ground and get back up. Deku throwing out his hands and trying to get to the window. Him finding no strength in one of his hands. And the other one, he can hardly move with it. And Deku is trying to flail around where his legs used to be. However, yeah. Right now the heroes, they watch Deku basically panic on the ground. And whenever nurses do come in, they get him sedated. And Night-Eye, he does see the extent of the damage. He sees Izuku Midoriya. And Deku, after he is lying there sedated, Night-Eye does try this again. Him bringing up his hand and trying to think. As he does go to try and look another day into the future. And he does see a lot start to happen. Izuku is still here, but there's somebody else in the room. Not good. Let's see, what else can you tell me? Okay. Let's try 2 days. No, I need to be here tomorrow. Night-Eye actually going to shift his eyes in the chair he sits in. And there is where he does go to look directly at the clock and see the time. Him getting a good estimate on it, as he does then go to look back towards the mysterious late night visitor. As Night-Eye, he does get the time down. He knows when he's supposed to be here. And he's going to have to alert the hospital staff. But he is curious to talk to his mysterious little visitor. Because why would he come to visit Izuku Midoriya if he thought he was Renegade? And right now, we do actually cut to the next day, where Night-Eye, he does sit there in his chair. And Bakugo, he currently does go to sneak into the hospital. Him going to lean outside of the window as he was going to bring his hand out. Him going to grab onto the glass and push his hand into it and go to try and push it upwards then. And Bakugo, he does get it cracked open. Him going to slide his fingers underneath it and then push up the rest of the way before he does going to climb inside. Bakugo going to sit against the floor for a second as he is going to take a breath. Him just going to bring his hands out and onto his knees. Him currently sitting against the wall. And there is where the lights, they've been turned off in the room. And Bakugo is going to look up to see the hallway. The light's still on in there. Okay, so the night nurses must be making their rounds. He's definitely got to be careful. And we do actually have Night Eye, who is going to turn his hand and turn on the light. As Bakugo, the lights turned on in the room. And that means one of two things. Him looking to his left and seeing Sir Night Eye. Looking to his right and seeing a sleeping Deku. Okay, so he's going to dive out of the window behind him and hopefully the fall will kill him. That being on his mind. As Night Eye is trying to tell him, he should know. The nurses, he made them make their rounds about 5 minutes ago. Because he did predict this exact event. Hi, Sir Night Eye. I assume you're here to arrest me? On the contrary, I should. However, I'm curious. A number of things have happened. I've looked into the future, and I've seen these horrors present themselves. What do you mean? Wait, so you're not arresting me? That sort of does depend on what you can tell me. Now, I'm investigating Izuku Midoriya. From what I've been told in reports, you've claimed that he was renegade. You claim that he was some sort of psycho. I want to know everything. Tell me right here and right now. All the details you know. You knew him for the longest. So I want you to stare at him first and then tell me he's renegade. Now, Bakugo, he does get a turn, looking directly at Deku. And he's not sure. I mean, he just wants to blow his head off, stab him, kill him. I mean, just take off his head. That's how this ends, right? He'll just take off Deku's head. He'll just shoot him. Yeah, maybe with an AP shot. Maybe that's how he'll kill him. Or maybe he'll just leave him bleeding for dead. That does kind of sound a little bit more satisfying. But then there's also the idea for torture. I mean, Izuku, the guy, he's pretty messed up in the head, so he has creative ideas. Maybe he'll do what he did to Ayama. Yeah, that does sound good. And right now, Bakugo, he does still stare at Deku, looking back towards Sir Night Eye. Him with a plain face. I can tell you what I know. Good. Focus. Now. And Bakugo to start. He gives Night Eye the full story. About how whenever this happened, he thought it was weird. Whenever this happened, he thought he was crazy. When this happened, when this happened, when this happened. He basically throws every little hint out there that Deku, he's using his quirk to fuck with him. And basically playing it off as just an excuse that, oh yeah, it's just his schizophrenia. Now, fact of the matter is, Bakugo, he tells Night Eye a lot of information. And Night Eye, yeah, he's definitely intrigued by what he does here. But he's also a lot more intrigued because he just changed the future. I mean, the events he saw whenever he tried to look into the future again, he knows they changed. That being on his mind. The next day, as currently, they go to the hospital. They want to see Izuku. They're giving permission for him to see the public. But he's an orphan. And, well, that being what she does think. As Reno Ochako is going to walk into the room, and a man to sit there with Izuku. Him trying to talk to him and at least tell him about what's going on. And Ochako is going to see Hisashi Midoriya. And that's where things they feel weird. She's meeting his dad. And Mr. Midoriya, he is going to turn, looking directly at Ochako. And he does look terrible. He looks just haggard and sworn and fuck. Huh? Hi. You must be one of his friends. I'm gonna bring his hand up. Before we're gonna at least pull it away. Remembering what happened the last time, he tried to, well, make contact with Izuku. And Deku? Yeah. Whenever Ochako is gonna walk over and sit down, Deku actually is gonna turn and look directly at her. Before Ochako is gonna stare directly at Deku, and he does look a bit more aware. Before Deku, he does have his eyes tear up. And Ochako is gonna stare directly at him. Deku going to move forwards and fall directly into her. Ochako actually somewhat surprised and going to try and keep Deku standing. Okay, Suku, okay. I'm sorry. Now, that's all Ochako does here. Deku, he can barely get out any words. And that's an issue. And there is where Ochako, she does get somewhat sit Deku back down, trying to ask him about what he's even trying to say. And Ochako, she does at least get to hear Mr. Midori explain. He's sorry, but she must have been hearing things. What? He just told me he was sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. He, his vocal cords were cut. Ochako is somewhat surprised, and the look on her face to say it all. He can't talk. Deku gonna open his mouth. As Ochako does see Deku trying to speak, tears in his eyes, but nothing comes out. All that comes out is a strange sound from something that doesn't sound like it can speak. It sounds just, well, horrible. And seeing Deku like that, it actually made her cry. However, there was one thing that Ochako, she wasn't ready for. There was where she went to go turn her head and look on the bedside table. There was an envelope there with her name on it. And Ochako tried to ask about what this is. As the doctor, not the doctor, as Mr. Midoriya, he was going to turn and see Ochako pick it up. Him expressing, he's actually not too sure what that is. Her going to open it up, and then go to reach inside. And there is actually where her stomach just went to drop. As she is going to pull out a brand new phone. One with her name on the back of it. In bedazzled pink sparkles. Now, Ochako, she does stare at the name. And then she does going to flip it over. Her going to turn on the screen, and there is actually the background. The background has Renegade and Deku. Renegade holding Deku's head up for a picture. And Deku does have blood covering his shirt along with bruises all along his face. Along with that, he does also have, well, his head partially shaved off. And Ochako is not too sure she really wants to know why that is. However, she just does stare at the background, horrified, disgusted. And Asashi, he does try to ask her what's wrong. Her going to look up as the moment she does go to open her mouth, she doesn't say a word. She stares directly at Hisashi Midoriya with Renegade standing directly behind him, finger to his lips. And Ochako, her face goes pale white. Hisashi going to look over his shoulder as he doesn't look directly at Renegade and then look back at her, asking her what's going on. And Ochako does just go to drop the phone. Her going to express, she lost her phone and she was just surprised as all that they gave it back to her. Really? That was sitting here whenever I got here. It was? Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you leave it here the other day? Yeah, I did. Ochako lying. And Hisashi? He doesn't pay that no mind. He just does go to look directly back at his son, that being his sole focus at the moment. Now, right now though, we do cut to somewhere else. Someone they've definitely been happy about this little game. They've definitely had fun along the way. And they've definitely done quite a lot of things they don't regret. At least, that's how it felt. I mean, party, 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 play, 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 kill, kill, kill. That's what Toga's life is supposed to be. That's how things are supposed to stay. They're not supposed to change. They're not supposed to, well, and the best way of saying, her looking down at the test in her hand. Things aren't supposed to grow either. And she's trying to figure out a way to tell him. Try to figure out a way to, I mean, say it. It just feels so weird. I mean, Izuku, yes, things with him have been definitely amazing, but she's not too sure if this is good. Bad? I mean, if Toga has to set out of the plans, that's going to ruin the game for Izuku, and the game, if it's ruined for Izuku, it's ruined for her, and she doesn't get to play, and she doesn't get to watch the bloodbath. That being on Toga's mind. Her right now in the depths of panic. And, well, you know, being fucking crazy. And Toga, she's trying to figure this all out. However, she does just go to walk out of her room. And she does need to talk to him right here, right now. Yeah, just walk up to him and say it. Just say it. Say those words, right? And Toga, yeah, she's not too sure. Because whenever she has to walk into the villain's bar, there is the fact that the entire place is packed. Tons and tons of people. And eventually Toga, she does find Deku. Him sitting at the table. As currently, we do have where she has to at least bring her hand up and throw down the test. Directly in front of Deku. Deku going to turn his head and look directly at Toga. Him looking annoyed. And everybody at the table, they do get to stare at Toga. Because, first off, gross. Second off, they're pretty sure they know what that is. And Toga, she'll just look directly at Deku. Before she'll yell it out with as much power as she can. However, instead of it being loud and booming and overpowering the entire room, she just says it very loud and matter-of-factly. And Deku just stares at Toga. Before Deku, he does just simply go to express to her, I'm going to stand up. That's good. They'll talk more about this later, okay? And Toga's confused. The reaction? That's it? That's all he's going to say? I mean, she's freaking the fuck out over here. Oh god. Oh god, what about the others? Wait, I mean, well, there was that thing with, and, and, oh god, did Isuka get them too? Oh boy, no, 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 that would definitely be a problem. Okay, 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 Toga. Right, what's up? Go back to your room. What? Go back to your room right now. We'll talk about this in a minute. Let me just finish this conversation. Right. Okay. Bye. Toga gonna turn and walk away. And Deku, he does go to reach his hand down and grab at the test, bringing it up and staring at it. Oh yeah, no, that definitely smells real. Okay, so this isn't a joke. God damn it. That being on his mind right now. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.